Pressure is mounting basically with the Premier League match week 8 upon us right now, starting this weekend. So you're welcome to this domestic battlefield after what felt like an eternity of an eternity of international breaks. I mean, the Premier League is back. The Premier League is back with match week 8, and it's not just, not just match week 8, but it's full of clashes as it is not just a return to action, it's an explosion of high stakes, high value, high variance football. Now, this tactical inflection points to the 25-26 season with teams not just fighting for points, but they are also battling massive injury crisis and fundamentally have altered the tactical landscape of the league's biggest matchups. Arsenal, sitting top of the table with 16 points, with an elite defense, has to prove their consistency. Liverpool is staring down a potential crisis, and the biggest drama of all is the midfield decimation index that has ripped through the top four contenders. If you thought you knew what was coming this weekend, then think again. Basically, the tactical gaps created by these absences have made match week 8 the most unpredictable slate of fixtures yet. First, the elephant in the room, the midfield decimation index. First, let's start with the seismic tactical changes caused by the international break, personnel crisis, dominating storylines, particularly in simultaneous losses for critical midfield linchpins across the four top clubs. At Manchester City, the loss of Rodri to a hamstring injury is absolutely critical. He's arguably the league's most important player. The defensive pivot and the deep line playmaker who ensures City's perfect seamless control. Without him, City has sometimes looked laborious, and their vulnerability to the counter-attack is dramatically increased as they face an Everton side that, even without Grealish, has the capacity to spoil games. Meanwhile, up the table at Tottenham Hotspur, the news is devastating. James Maddison is out with a torn ACL. Maddison has been the engine room for Spurs, attacking system, contributing 2 goals and 2 assists. Crucially, Tottenham currently sits third in the table, but partly because they have been massively overperforming their statistical expectations, scoring 13 goals from an expected goals of or XG tally of roughly 7.5. That is an extreme positive variance of plus 5.5 goals. Now, Maddison was the man sustaining the incredible efficiency. His absence was now threatens to cause a sharp regression to the mean, making the tough fixtures against Aston Villa far more precarious. The injury list doesn't stop there. League leaders Arsenal are missing Martin Odegaard, Gabriel Jesus, and Kai Havertz. A major loss of offensive depth, but they also have Victor Gyökeres and Eberechi Eze. They've also lost Noni Madueke as well to injury. Now, Liverpool is without first choice goalkeeper Alisson Becker, and Ibrahim Konate is questionable, after withdrawing from France duty and returning back early from the international break. Next one is these absences inject immediate high variance into the title race and the fight for Europe, meaning that the outcomes of match week 8 are less about predictability or predictable form and more about how managers adjust their suddenly decimated squads to be able to handle this. So we're going to start with the most important game and the biggest rivalry in Premier League football and world football at large, and that is the Liverpool versus Manchester United. Now, this headline clash is the famed derby of disarray and redemption, featuring two giants who desperately need a statement win. Liverpool returns to Anfield, a venue that has long been a fortress, boasting a formidable 15 wins, 4 draws, and 0 losses. League record over the last 12 months. However, they limp in, having lost 3 consecutive matches across all competitions prior to the break. Manager Arne Slot faces unprecedented defensive strain, relying on backups with Alisson out and Konate potentially unavailable. Now, Manchester United arrives carrying one of the strangest statistical anomalies in the league. Despite sitting 10th, United is ranked first in the entire Premier League for expected goals, recording a staggering 13.96 xG. Yet, they have only scored 9 actual goals. This dramatic underperformance, nearly 5 goals below expected, 5 goals below expected, screams either of extremely poor finishing or just bad luck. And that's you might target as either of those two. Now, the massive XG disparity is the core tactical question, of the match. Will Manchester United's finishing finally normalize against an injury hit Liverpool defense, or will they continue to struggle to convert the quality chances that their system is generating? Now, Liverpool's success will likely hinge on Cody Gakpo. He's their joint leading goal scorer or goal contributor and currently leads the team in touches in the opposition box and key passes. United's game plan must prioritize neutralizing Gakpo to prevent him from exploiting their defense. Historically, Anfield is a terrible place for United. Man United haven't won at Anfield since 2016, but the stakes are existential. A win for United could actually be the catalyst for their season, while a loss could push Liverpool to the brink of crisis. And it is said, obviously, that it looks like they are having a mini crisis, but it is what it is. We have to push further and know what we're doing with regards to this game. But we'll observe it, and whenever happens, we will give you our review. The next one is the Champions League chase between Tottenham Hotspur and Aston Villa. This fixture is a direct high-stakes battle between two clubs vying for top 4 spot. We already established that Tottenham is flying high in third, largely due to their extreme overperformance on offense. But with a creative void left by Maddison as a season-ending injury, manager Thomas Frank must immediately adapt to prevent the positive XG variance from disappearing overnight. Aston Villa under Unai Emery enters on a 4-match winning streak, a testament of tactical adjustments that have made them more direct. However, their underlying metric shows extreme caution. They average less than 1 xG per game, relying heavily on highly efficient but potentially unsustainable chance conversion. So, historically, this match promises goals with 3 to 5 goals scored in 4 of the last 5 matchups. So Villa senses a major opportunity here to close the gap on Spurs. The predictions actually give a slight edge to Tottenham at home, but the substantial analytical concerns surrounding Spurs midfield make this a genuine toss-up. So you have to think about it. So my prediction for this Spurs game between Aston Villa will probably be 2-1 to Spurs. Spurs will just shock Villa. For the Manchester United for Liverpool versus Manchester United game, I would, as a Man United fan, predict that Liverpool will lose to Man United for the first time at home since 2016 to a 2-1 defeat. And then we have the London Derby. So the London Derby tests this Fulham versus Arsenal. Arsenal, the league leaders, face a tricky London Derby at Craven Cottage, a ground that some call the Fulham Hoodoo. Failure to secure results here in previous seasons cost Arsenal momentum and points needed for the title. Despite the injuries to Odegaard, Jesus and Gabriel Jesus and Havertz, Arsenal's title charge rests on defensive excellence. They boast the league's lowest expected goals against (XGA), demonstrating a rock-solid, disciplined backline. Their defenders like Gabriel are in high demand and they're consistently delivering clean sheets. Even in this hostile environment, Arsenal remains the heavy favorite, and the win here would be a confirmation of their new defensive consistency and a huge step forward for their title credentials. Fulham, for their part, have won their last 2 home games. And both teams have scored in 4 of the last 5 meetings. What's my prediction for this one? Maybe because I want to hate watch Arsenal, it's going to be a 1-1 draw. Fulham are good with drawing games, so let's see how that one pans out. And then City's depth is tested in this next one. Manchester City versus Everton. Manchester City welcoming Everton to is defined entirely by absence. We've covered the critical loss of Rodri for City. But for Everton, the loss of Jack Grealish is equally devastating. Grealish is ineligible to play against his parent club due to loan restrictions. Obviously, he has been indispensable to Everton's attack, contributing to 5 of their 9 league goals, and creating more chances than any other teammate. Any other teammate. Now, this fixture is perfect. It's a perfect storm of offensive handicaps. Manager David Moyes has a poor record at the Etihad, losing his last 8 away trips there. While City is still the overwhelming favorite, the double absence of Rodri and Grealish, the 2 players most critical to their respective teams' ability to control or create, may lead to a lower scoring affair than usual, with the analysts suggesting that it's going to be an under 2.5 goals and the market presents a compelling value. But for me, I think that Man City are going to win this one by 2-0, and goals are going to goal creation is going to come from Jeremy Doku. And then we have the relegation scrap, defining the 6-pointers and the swings in the relegation. Down at the bottom, Matchweek 8 features 2 crucial 6-point fixtures that will heavily influence the relegation battle. First is Burnley versus Leeds at Turf Moor. Both are promoted sides, and neither has defeated a club that finished higher than 13th this last season. Leeds United, sitting higher in 15th with 8 points, is described as having a solid system that creates chances, but they've been punished for missing their chances as well. Manager Daniel Farker has made savvy additions, and the general prediction is that this is the game where Leeds will finally regain their scoring touch, ultimately packing more punch than Burnley. Second, we have Sunderland versus Wolverhampton Wanderers. Promoted Sunderland is enjoying a superb start, sitting 9th with 11 points, while Wolves are winless and sitting bottom of the table. Now, the tactical advantage here is crystal clear. Set pieces. Sunderland are a non-penalty XG. Sunderland's non-penalty XG expected goals from set pieces is the highest ratio in the Premier League at 45%, while Wolves, conversely, are highly vulnerable in that area, having considered 37% of their non-penalty expected goals, or XGA, expected goals against, from set pieces. Now, this specific exploitable weakness strongly favors the home side, giving Sunderland an excellent chance to beat Wolves and achieve 10 points from their first home matches for the first time since the 1968-1969 season. Then we move on to the mid-table volatility, which is with regards to the remaining fixtures in the league. We have Nottingham Forest facing Chelsea, and that could be Ange losing again because Ange is under pressure. It kicks off the weekend, basically. Forest is under immense pressure after a 7-game winless run, attempting to implement an ultra expansive style of football under Ange Postecoglou. Only Man City have more 10 plus passes sequence than Forest, highlighting their high risk approach. The high octane style combined with Chelsea's holistically poor away form, historically poor away form, winning only 3 of their last 14 Premier League matches on the road. That's a very damning stat there. Makes this a high risk, volatile fixture. The combined loss of Cole Palmer for Chelsea only complicates matters further. just to give you a bit of a prediction for the Burnley versus Leeds, I see Leeds scoring Burnley 3-0. And for the Sunderland versus Sunderland was Wolverhampton Wanderers, I see Sunderland edging that one 2-0. And then for the City versus Everton, I see Everton shocking City, but then it will end in a 1-1 draw. That's my prediction. And then for Forest versus Chelsea, Forest versus Chelsea, maybe Ange Postecoglou gets respite for his efforts, and maybe because Chelsea have a poor away record, Northern Forest beat Chelsea 1-0. And then Brighton and Hove Albion versus Newcastle United. That's a very tough game. It pits two mid-table teams against each other. Newcastle have a troubling record away from home, failing to score in their last 4 Premier League matches away. Brighton, meanwhile, boasts of an unbeaten record in their last 7 home games, and they have an 8-match unbeaten Premier League home record against Newcastle. Brighton's aggressive high press strategy, leading the league in forced high turnovers, is perfectly set up to exploit Newcastle's vulnerabilities in transition. Analysts see a strong possibility of a draw or a positive result for Brighton here. So, yeah, a draw, 0-0 or 1-1 draw. We'll see how that pans out. I actually want them to draw, but it is what it is. Next one is Crystal Palace versus Bournemouth. Excuse me. Crystal Palace versus Bournemouth is a dark horse decider. Both teams really tough and high up the table. They are 2 of the season's most impressive overperformers, sitting 6th and 4th respectively. That is Crystal Palace versus Bournemouth. Crystal Palace holds the home advantage, being unbeaten in their last 9 Premier League matches at the Selhurst Park. They are also statistically validated as ranking 2nd in the league for XG. Bournemouth is also in great form, but their historical weakness is away from home. Palace's home consistency gives them the marginal edge to maintain their early European challenge momentum. So, what's our take on this one? I see Crystal Palace beating Bournemouth. And then finally, I see Crystal Palace beating Bournemouth, maybe 2-1. Semenyo still gets a goal in this one as well. And then finally, West Ham versus Brentford. This concludes the weekend on Monday night, and this is manager Nuno Espirito Santo's first home game and crucial chance to stabilize a West Ham side that has lost all 3 of its home fixtures this season. Brentford is looking to bounce back after a loss to Man City, but they have struggled on the road, losing all 3 of their away matches. With defensive midfielder Tomasz Suchek returning from suspension for the Hammers, this is considered a perfect home debut for Nuno to secure a much needed 3 points. So Matchweek 8 is setting us up for a tactical masterclass in adaptation. My prediction for this West Ham Brentford game is that West Ham will Nuno get his first win 2-0 against Brentford, and Brentford will have 2 losses on their spin. We'll see how that goes. Maybe Brentford might get a goal due to their style of play with long balls and set pieces. So Matchweek 8 is setting up to be a tactical masterclass in adaptation. The success of the biggest clubs will be measured not by the talent that they have on the pitch, but by also the talent that they have that they have missing. The managers who can best compensate for these critical losses, especially in the midfield, will be the ones who define the title race trajectory over the next few weeks. So let me know your predictions in the comment section below. Let me know who you think will score more, who you think will outperform, and all of that. Do that in the comment section, and let me know, what you think about each game and how your club is gonna perform. Thank you so much for watching this comprehensive preview of one of the most unpredictable match weeks of the season. Set up your FPLs, that's your fantasy Premier League squads before the deadline, and then we will, give you. We'll do a match review after Saturday's games and another match review after Sunday's games, and then what we learned from weekend. So stay tuned, and thank you for tuning in. I'll see you on the next one. Take care. Goodbye and God bless.